Hey, welcome back to This Week in Pharmacy. I'm your host, Todd Uri, founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. It is a great show. We have a lot to go through. We're going to be talking about the NASP, the National Association of Specialty Pharmacies. Their annual event is coming up on September 14th. Goodness gracious, it's coming up fast. Hey, we hope you've had a good week. We're also going to be talking with one of my special friends, Christina Fontana. Dr. Fontana is going to be coming in and helping me with the Veterans Pharmacy Care Summit, and she's going to be our keynote speaker at that event. And we're going to be talking with her, and we're going to be talking with Andy Crawford from Keysource. There's a lot going on. Stay tuned here on TWIRx. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This Week in Pharmacy. It is September 5th, 2025, and it's back to school. This has been a hard week. It's been one of those weeks where you had Labor Day off. Today, I thought it was Wednesday, so today's Thursday. Thank goodness tomorrow's Friday, and so on and so forth. And what day is it? It's Friday. It's Friday. We're here. If I had some music, I had my lights. I do have my lights, but they're not going to work right. And everything starts to break down when you start pressing buttons. So I don't want to press the buttons, but I want to bring in someone who has been special in my life for, I think it's been over 10 years now, and I feel like I'm getting old. But Christina is one of my favorite people, a fellow Pittsburgher. You've been a big supporter of the Pharmacy Podcast Network from like the beginning, way back in the day. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny is you never get any older. You look the same.
That's good.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to our event supporting our veterans. And thank you for the honor of being the keynote speaker.
I'm excited as well. Hey, we're not stopping there. We have Dr. Melissa Turner joining us. Melissa, I have been following you on LinkedIn. You're so inspirational. I thank you so much for your openness and your sharing, but welcome to TWIRx.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and grateful to share and to get to talk with everyone today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. So what I'm excited about is, like I said, we have NASP happening. Pharmacy Podcast Network is going to be there as press September 14th through 17th. But there's a special event that's coming up in September, and it's September 25th, right?
You got it.
I want you to share with our listeners what you have been building. And this is not the first rodeo that you've designed yourself and launched and done. You've done many of these, but it's evolving. And this is a special event. I think there's much to be shared. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So first, I want to just share that I think one of the biggest things that we're hearing about and we've heard about for a long time in the healthcare space, but even beyond that, is burnout. Yeah. And so that is exactly what this event, the fully powered, the new prescription to thriving after trauma, is all about. Because I have seen so many people, men, women, experience that burnout, that feeling of being disconnected, depleted, trying to pour from an empty cup. And so this is exactly what this event is going to be helping people with. This is a free event. It's called Fully Powered. And to give a little bit of a metaphor, I want you to think of your phone battery. So if you were to look down at your phone and you saw that it was at a 1% charge, you'd probably freak out, because I know I do, after it drops below 50%. So a lot of us are running on survival mode at that 1%. And this talk is going to be helping you plug back into your power. So I'm a huge nerd. I've studied so many different modalities and the nervous system over the last 13 years. And I've distilled down this framework that I'm going to be sharing at this event, which is on September 25th from 9 to 10, and you can be part of the live audience. The energy in the room is going to be electric. I am so excited for everybody that's already attending. And it's a free event where you're going to learn my 3-step framework. These are evidence-based tools that you can implement immediately in your life it's not just like a feel-good thing. You are literally rewiring your nervous system out of fight or flight. So many of us are in these states where we're in survival mode and we're just trying to keep everything together, because I know you've got a lot going on, right? You have maybe a business or kids to take care of, dogs, fur babies, all the things. And it's not about, healing after trauma or after whatever it might be that you have experienced is not about eliminating those things, but it's stretching your capacity to be able to hold the level of what you're going to be calling in and receiving. So as an example, with your business, if we are already depleted, how can we receive more clients and cash flow? We can't hold it all, right? So the work that I do is helping you expand that capacity to be able to receive, to be able to have plenty of spaciousness, to take care of yourself, pour into yourself. And so that's my goal in this event. And then I'm going to be having there I am. And then right after that, if you want to join us for the full experience, I am having my Expanding Your Brilliance retreat, which Melissa will share a little bit about, I'm sure, but she's been to past retreats. And this is an action-packed 5-hour event where you get to come and reconnect with your own power, to shine in your brilliance, to be able to grow your business in a way that feels aligned to wherever you are. And so that's what I'm up to on September 25th.
I love it. I love the sincerity. I love the lessons that you bring. The accumulation of lessons are coming from the actual participants, which is pretty special, because people that are listening and thinking, if you give of yourself to go to these events, your time, your money, your effort, you're also becoming part of that next story and that next sharing of being able to touch someone else. And it's the ripples in the water that just keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. That's the way you change a profession. Is you have to start within and of ourselves and take care of us and strengthen us, so that put your oxygen mask on first before trying to help someone else. But Melissa, I want to hear from you, because I want to hear from your experiences and the stresses that you knew you had, and you started working with Christina, and how has this helped you help other people? And you're one of the ripples. So tell us about that.
So I worked in retail pharmacy for almost 8 years. I'm not sure how I even
How did you survive it?
8 years. But the turning point for me was listening to a podcast on pharmacist burnout. And at that time I was like, what is this? I never heard of the word burnout. This is something that can happen to pharmacists. It was just mind blowing to me. And I was like, oh, so it's not my fault. I'm trying to be the best pharmacist I can, and I'm not a bad person, and I'm giving everything to this company, and yet I hate being here, and I don't want to do this anymore, and I don't know how to get out. But in that moment, I was like, okay, I am not alone. There are other pharmacists that feel the same way. And I was like, you know what? I either stay here and keep complaining and get worse, or I do something about it. And so taking that next step, and God bringing people into my life at the right time, one of them being Christina, I met several years ago through LinkedIn, and just being in her world these last few years has changed everything for me. It's really helped me to see that I can do a lot of the strategies and things, but if I don't heal my nervous system, what's on the inside, it's never going to show up on the outside.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to just acknowledge you, because I love how you said, like, I can stay here and complain, or I can take an action. And I feel like with you, and I've known Melissa for years, she is an action taker. And sometimes it's scary, but you take the scary action, which I think is really amazing. And you are a role model and example for so many other people who are 5 steps behind, that are like, ooh, oh, wait, there's another way. There's another opportunity. And, Melissa has written books. She speaks at pharmacy schools. She's spoken before at my retreat, my fall retreat last year. And it's just been such a blessing to watch God use her in such a beautiful way. And I'm just so incredibly proud of her.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's really cool. The sharing of that. And I understand from so many perspectives, the burnout from so many sectors. My friends in pharmaceutical management and distribution, and people that I know that are pharmaceutical reps and are medical science liaisons. But I really started thinking of the impact that the profession is going through right now, what's happening to all of us, and how the collapse of Rite Aid and the collapse of the chain stores and that's an extra layer of stress that they're taking on, of what they experienced during that collapse and not having enough staff and not having enough help, and what our chain pharmacists, these people that just want to do their job, and there's so many of their pressures. And so an event like this, it really couldn't have happened at a better time, because we're going into the fall season and the reinvention of yourself, because everybody wants to do something for the new year. So this is a great time to kind of like get ready for the fall of our 2025, and that in and of ourselves too.
And I want to just share the reason why I'm doing this free talk, actually, indirectly, is because I've gotten rejected from 32 TED Talks, and I'm like, I am building my own stage. So for anybody out there, like, don't look at me and be like, oh my God, like, she's so polished, whatever. Like, no, I go through a lot behind the scenes, just like any entrepreneur. And so I want to share that with you, that like you pivot, you use that fuel you have inside, and you create your own thing. So just because you experience rejection or whatever's going on, let my voice be in your head and say, keep going, pivot, you can do it, just get creative, and you can impact a lot of lives.
And that's the way we have friends in our circles, Christina. And isn't that funny how the people that you surround yourself with and people who you rely on to support you, they'll always be there, and they'll watch you from afar, and they'll also learn from you. And really, I've seen your growth from the very beginnings of this to now where it's at. And it's a whole nother level now, because you keep learning yourself. And you even admitted that to me, where you're like, one of the best things of what you've built and gone through is the energies and the lessons and the input of the people that are attending these events, who then create friendships that last forever. And so yeah, I'm excited. I get lots going on with you, because we're gonna have you at the Veterans Pharmacy Care event. We have Thea Blystone there, this rock star from Meadville, Pennsylvania.
Jesse
is going to be there, talk about leadership.
We don't need his last name. People know who Jesse is. McCullough.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, it's very special to me that I've gotten the support from fellow Pittsburgher-ish, Western Pennsylvania pharmacists. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, because veterans, there are veterans out there that could use an event like this. And maybe that's the future of the Veterans Pharmacy Care event. Maybe there's a whole, laying down and getting relaxed and doing some of the therapy, Jedi mind trick stuff that you guys,
let God do the orchestration. We're just here showing up.
That's right. He flows through you for sure. I definitely pick that up. But Melissa, talk to me for just a second, just in case the audience, the listeners, haven't met up with you yet. Tell us about kind of what you're doing in as a pharmacist, and share that with us, because I'd like to know myself more about it.
Well, before I tell you about what I'm doing now, I want to just talk briefly on where I started. So I started Turnaround Wellness almost 4 years ago. My business birthday is September 20th. And I started out doing genetic testing for medications. And because I worked retail, I saw so many people struggle with medications and side effects and things not working and having that back and forth. And I was like, when I learned about it, I was like, this is amazing. Why aren't we doing this for everyone? And so I started that did good. Then I added genetic testing for nutrition and wellness, because the more I learned, I was like, wait, why aren't we treating and talking about the nutrition and the health aspects and the sleep and all of that? Then maybe they wouldn't need the medicines. And, years went by doing all of those different tests, and it was great. I think I tested about 70 people with the medication test, probably about 25 to 30 with the nutrition test. But as time went on, I began to see a pattern that kept repeating, whether it was with clients who had signed up to work with me or with patients I got on discovery calls with, which I don't do anymore, where I would spend all this time talking to them, having conversations, creating treatment plans and protocols and all this stuff based on the information. And yet there would be times where people would come to their meetings and we'd have some progress, and then something would happen and they'd cancel their appointment and they never rebook. I'd reach out and I'd never hear from them again. So I got ghosted so many times over the last 4 years, from discovery calls to actual patients who bought packages. And so I was like, gosh, there is something else that is going on, something that I don't think a medication or a supplement is going to help. So what is this? And so by working with Christina, I began to understand the nervous system, things I wasn't taught in pharmacy school. I didn't know all of that. And so I'm a science nerd too. So I love learning about this stuff, and it's really fascinating to me. And so just about a month ago, I made the decision to stop doing the genetic testing so that I could help my patients on a deeper level and to help them heal from the inside so that it can show up from the outside. So the things like perfectionism, hello, I'm a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser, still working on it. But Christina has taught me how to, with different nervous system practices and meditations, activations, to turn the dial down on those things. They won't ever fully go away, but they don't have to be in control. And so, working on that myself, I want to help other women with that as well, so that they can show up more fully, whether that's in their business, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend, wherever they're working. We can't show up as our full self if we have all of these things going on the inside. Again, the medication or supplement is going to help with that. So that's where I'm at right now.
Isn't perfectionism on the pharmacy school application? Are you a perfectionist? Cool. We're going to let you in.
Come on in. We have a seat for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll make the perfectionism even more ingrained in you over the next 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's in the fine print if you read carefully.
I did not think of it that way, but that's what saves lives, is that perfectionism.
Yeah.
And but that also it's a blessing and a curse.
It's a cage in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you both for being on This Week in Pharmacy. This has been really special. Christina, thank you so much for your support for the Veterans Pharmacy Care event and being our keynote speaker. And I'm excited about this event, fully powered, September 25th. I'll have a link in the show notes so that you can get access to this and you can sign up. But Christina, thank you so much. And Melissa, thank you so much. You got to promise Melissa that you're going to come back.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
We will be right back on This Week in Pharmacy.
Feeling lost with the complexities of pharmacy accounting?
In pharmacy today, there's so many different, variables and issues that impact the pharmacy books, records, accounting, the profitability of the store, so forth. There's different components of pharmacy that have its own nuances from an accounting standpoint. And so it's tricky. There's no doubt about it.
Ready to take your pharmacy to the next level but don't know where to start? Sykes & Company is here to help. Introducing the RX Assessment. With the RX Assessment, the pharmacy CPAs and advisors at Sykes will do a deep dive into your accounting and tax situation and give you the action steps you need to take your pharmacy to the next level.
If you're interested in, working with a team who understands the industry and how the accounting and tax should really be in a pharmacy, this is your chance to get a under the hood check of what's going on and getting the feedback of any issues or concerns, or again, things we think you're doing really well with.
Get the financial checkup your pharmacy needs and head over to sykes-cpa.com or call 252-482-7644.
Hey, welcome back to This Week in Pharmacy. Oh, wow. What a day. What a day today is. Friday. I hope you guys are planning to have some kind of relaxation, and you're probably more tired this week, and I'll tell you why. It's just my opinion. We just had an extra day, Labor Day, and for me, those days are terrific. You come to your Sunday night, I'm not as nervous because I'm like, I get to relax tonight and not have to get ready for the work day. However, that 4-day week is kind of strange because you're packing a lot of stuff in that you might not have done because you had that 5th day. So this weekend is almost like the restart of the coming full week. We got the kids back to school. We got things happening in pharmacy land. We just got back from NACDS Total Store Expo. We have lots to talk about today on TWIRx, and we're going to be doing TWIRx news, but I'd like to welcome back my friend, and today's sponsor is from Keysource, Andy Crawford. Welcome back to This Week in Pharmacy. Time to TWIRx.
Todd, how are you, my friend? Wow, what a busy week we've had, and then post NACDS, right? Where's the time go? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because San Diego was gorgeous. The weather was amazing. We weren't out in the weather very much. We were in the conference halls and exhibit halls, but the temperament there, the energy there got me really excited because I felt like pharmacy's back. It's time to go. It's time to build. And
We're back, baby.
Back, baby. Next now, whatever that term was that they were. Yeah. Well, welcome. It's
thanks for having me. Yeah. TSE was great. It's always wonderful to see the biggest and the best collaborators in one room. There's not enough minutes and hours in a day. It seems like you're running from one thing to the next, but that's what makes it such a great conference. And it's exciting to kind of hear some of the strategies the largest retailers are putting in place for, various different parts of the business, whether it be procurement, marketing, front-end store, vaccine strategies, and all of the above, man. That was cool.
All right, we have some news, TWIRx news today. We're going to be picking on CBS News, who covered a article that came out of Massachusetts, and the title is Massachusetts Governor Orders Pharmacies to Make COVID Shots Accessible. And you read down through the article, and he's also talking about other vaccines. And I think this is positive for pharmacy that's out there. Shout out to our independent community pharmacies, but also our regional international chains to be able to, once again, from the craziness of the pandemic, pharmacies had to show up in order to get healthcare pushed out. And in many cases, with all the closures, the pharmacy was the only healthcare provider that was accessible. Now we have an ability for our state governors to start making some decisions that will stay in place so that it's not just about reacting to a pandemic. And this is good news. I think it's good news. And I think that pharmacies out there can now make news in Massachusetts, for example, make an opt-ed per se, or a blog or some kind of post on your Facebook, and get this kind of national news and publish and post and talk about it, because sometimes we get our news differently. I don't want to sound like the old guy in the room. You're one of the old guys in the room too, Andy, but we're getting our news now from social media, from TikTok, from LinkedIn, and sometimes we're not hitting up the latest. So shout out to our marketers out there who work with pharmacies to get this news out.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, just it reinforces the importance of pharmacy and what role they play within the communities, in accessibility to healthcare and vaccines, So if anything, this is a big advantage to them to continue to be that centralized hub for community healthcare, which is very, very important.
Absolutely. All right, next news is out. You and I were just talking about this before we started recording, and that is hims and hers stock jumps on the Novo Nordisk GLP-1 partnership. And you know, there's a side of this, from my opinion. There's custom medication, there's precision medication, there's pharmacogenomics, there's dialing into our health. I've not been big on going to the physician very often. There was a period there where I hadn't gone for 5 years. Now I'm back in the regimen since I started getting, I've had 2 colonoscopies, to give everybody too much information that's listening to the podcast. I've had over a period of the last 5 to 7 years. So now I'm on a once every 2 year kick. I know it's supposed to be once every year, but regardless, getting older, I know that I need to dial into my health more. I know that there's opportunities to do more testing and more dial into blood and more dial into things that we didn't have 10, 20 years ago. What's your opinion on the fashion medications? And I'm not saying that GLP-1s are just fashion. I think that these are helping thousands, if not millions of people with obesity. However, we're guilty of a culture, especially in the United States, thinking that we're going to take a pill or we're going to get a shot and everything's going to be just fine. And I think that there's a little bit of coaching that should be coming from physicians and obviously pharmacists to the patient, to saying, hey, listen, this GLP-1, this medication is going to help you lose weight, but this is not the end all be all. Like let this be a place starter for you to really change your life.
Right. No, I think that what I see, this pattern, this trend with some of these vanity-based products, whether it be hair loss, sexual health, and obviously you have GLP-1s. The biggest talking point now is we were speaking about it before, is the ease of access for people to kind of understand how they can take better care of themselves. And as time goes on, direct to consumer, direct to patient care through some of these models like Hims or Hers is just giving the patients, less roadblocks to get what they need to take care of themselves. I think you'll never replace, obviously, the importance of the pharmacy or the pharmacist that is in brick and mortar. But I think, consumers are demanding, access and ease, and people are getting smarter about their healthcare, right? Now, I told you before, I had a blood panel done a couple weeks ago, as I'm, now 44 this year. And it's interesting, like I would have never done that like 5 years ago. Like I would have no interest in it. Now, obviously, my wife, who's way smarter than me, is like, hey, look, you need to start doing these things and take better care of yourself. But, even something as easy as the practitioner having a follow-up phone call and the mail order pharmacy or the local pharmacy that filled a prescription for me. It was just such a seamless series of events that I never recall like 10 years ago. And I think that's what's kind of interesting about this pattern of, GLP-1s and access is just the easier you make it for the patient and the consumer to get what they need, likely you're going to see a demand of increase, right? And that's where I kind of foresee a lot of this growth in Hims and Her and Row and many of these other pharmacies that have direct to consumer, direct to patient access. But you're giving these patients obviously better health options, and people are getting smarter about what they need to do to take better care of themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Dave Marley, independent pharmacy owner, Marley Drug, I think in South or North Carolina. He 20 years ago started making steps towards putting out a specific medication with a lot of education around it in his area, and that sprouted a growth, an opportunity that a Canadian-based manufacturer bought his organization after him getting licensed in 30, 40 states nationwide. Now they're using a direct to consumer, direct to pharmacy to consumer base to plug in all 50 states. And that's not, Dave's not the only one doing that. He's of course not part of the organization anymore. I think he sold everything off, but there are independent community pharmacies out there who are the next level, who are thinking way ahead, and they're thinking, how are we positioning ourselves to do our primary, which is take care of our community, but now our secondary growth is from either a state-to-state expertise growth that we've really centered in weight loss or diabetes or hypertension or HIV, where we've become a specialist that has attracted a manufacturer who wants to work with us directly, no more wholesaler in some ways, and now there is a financial advantage to that, but there's also an advantage to the consumer as well. And are you seeing that happening and popping up with pharmacies really taking command of a specific disease state?
I think in the specialty space, yes. So if there's a specialty pharmacy that, they're looking at a therapeutic class that maybe is MS or solid organ transplant or oncology, and there are many out there, many customers of mine that access specialty light products from us at Keysource pretty regularly, and they do a really good job of, getting a network, whether it be a limited distribution network on a product or single distribution, in order to really give the patient care and the medication therapy management that they need. And I think that's a very important thing. I think that's highly specialized, and some of that doesn't necessarily coincide with some of these vanity-based products and direct to consumer, direct to patient. But once again, it goes back to my original statement. If you can make it easier for the manufacturer, for the patient, and obviously, the ultimate goal is the care of the patient, and the facilitator of that is the pharmacy, that's a win-win-win. And I think that you're seeing positioning of some of these independents, a more highly specialized independent pharmacy. Maybe they do testosterone therapy replacement. Maybe they do hormonal replacement or compounding of these things as maybe not their primary business, maybe their secondary part of the business. But that's what sets them apart from, the normal drug shop that's filling, metformin and atorvastatin at barely, breaking even on some of these products. So.
Yep. Well, you just mentioned something that I want to come back to, and that is specialty pharmacy. Pharmacy Podcast Network is headed to the National Association of Specialty Pharmacies annual meeting, which will be in Denver, Colorado, at the Gaylord Rockies. You will be there. We're excited that we're going to get a quick quote from you on the show. But tell us what you're excited about in attending the NASP.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of NASP. I've been with Sheila and Mike since they started this thing back in the beginning when it was in the basement of the DC Marriott. There's only a handful of vendors there, and the thing I love about this show is, and I've seen such organic growth from it, is, you don't have the hustle and bustle of some of the larger shows out there, and you really get the opportunity to tell, the customers and your partners what your offerings are, be more strategic, have more time. And we always look forward to talking with our, specialty pharmacy customers there about, new formulary additions, how we're looking to continue to build out new programs, and same with our manufacturer partners that are looking to figure out how can they use Keysource as a facilitator to get market share on their products. Lots of great names you have up here too, of people that have been in the business and have continued to grow through organizations like, NASP. I think there's a lot of advocacy that happens as well through their legislative arms that really help, speak for pharmacy when those that can have the time or maybe the autonomy to speak for themselves, as they grow. So it's a great organization. Really looking forward to it, and always enjoy going. So we'll see you out there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Last part of our news is a really interesting article out of DeWitt County, Texas. And it's the oldest pharmacy in Texas, was opened in 1872. Goodness gracious.
Wow.
Still open, still operating, but that's not the case for many of our independent community pharmacies that are, once again, sometimes the only source of healthcare. And thinking of strategies, thinking of leveraging technology, leveraging cash-based programs, getting away from just one source of revenue, which is the traditional source, which is that dispensing fee, getting into other services, and then paying attention to sourcing. Where are you getting your product? How are you getting your product? The old-fashioned 80-20, 80% buying from my wholesaler primary contract and 20% as a mix-up. It's just not clear anymore. You need to be very specific about where you're sourcing, and that's where Keysource comes in. So talk to us about some of those ideas about strategy. And I saw how many meetings you guys had, a boatload of meetings at the NACDS TSE. There wasn't a time that wasn't someone in your booth, and there were conversations about exactly that. So share that with our listener.
Yeah, I think, you really hit on something that most pharmacies have to figure out, what can they control? There's a lot of uncontrollables right now. Obviously, PBM reimbursement, lack thereof, opportunities to fill in supply gaps and creative strategies to procure products. I mean, that lever is still going to be procuring right? And when you talk about improving the bottom line, what's a clear pathway to improving the bottom line? And it's leveraging partners that have autonomy, that can bring value, that don't constrict their purchasing needs, like maybe some of the PBAs out there. And I think that's really what pharmacy is looking for. And a lot of the best in the industry that are that really monitor their bottom line. They have very intelligent procurement departments. And I'm speaking specifically from a procurement perspective right now, but they know reimbursement rates, they know NDCs, they know what products, are more profitable for them, what products are best pathways to consistency for their patients and therapies. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I think one thing that's contributed to our success is, we're looking for a long-term relationship and not a one-time win, right? Price is always important, but value is not nothing if you don't have consistency, in your product formulary. So I think a lot of these different aspects matter, and I think that pharmacy is also looking for opportunities outside of normal dispense to figure out how they can generate profits. As you mentioned before, if it's, specialized, therapies, medication therapy management, vaccinations, all of the above, fee-for-service type models. So it was great to meet with a lot of people and talk about, what they're doing differently in their business and how we can continue to help support that.
If you're listening, you're curious, you just want some options, you want some creativity, reach out to Andy Crawford. He's active on LinkedIn. It's easy to remember the name, Andy Crawford with Keysource. Andy, cannot wait to see you in Denver. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
And I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, appreciate it, Todd. See you soon.
All right, see ya.
Thanks.